You're listening to an ATYL Media production.
Everyone wants to be there on Sunday, but as every short tracker will tell you, there is no Sunday without Saturday night. And every week, all across the nation, late models own Saturday night. This is the ballad of the sport's backbone, its hometown, its weekly star, and its greatest racing. This is Saturday night. This is On Tour. Welcome back to On Tour. My name is Buddy Pulley. I head up the late model coverage for ATYL Media, joined by my co-host, play-by-play announcer at a Speedway, but most recently South Boston Speedway, my friend yours, Chase Folsom. Or of course, we know him on this channel as Chuck. Chuck, what's up, man?
Not much, man. It's been a minute since I was on the show. I'm happy to be back. I'm happy we're talking about late model stock cars again and all the joys that come with them. And we got to be at two different fantastic tracks in the Commonwealth this past weekend.
That's true. We were both in Virginia, and I didn't exactly put two of the together. Chuck was at South Boston calling the weekly show there. I was obviously at Langley with our new On Tour intern, Daniel. Shout out to him. He very much deserves a shout out. Good work he did this weekend. But yeah, before we get into everything that happened this weekend, we're going to talk more about Virginia and a team that comes out of Virginia in our news and notes segments. Carson Lofton and Nelson Motorsports have parted ways. Obviously, I think we can gather exactly why the results and the combination hasn't been the most fruitful for either party. But we wish both of them the best. And both of them issued statements stating it was a mutual parting of ways. So we obviously wish Carson the best. And it'll be interesting to see who will be in the 22 car the rest of the season. Chuck, you were at South Boston, obviously, as we stated. Landon Pembleton put belt to rear end. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Oak River Realty Race Night. Going to get that plug in there in case Brandon Brown wants to rip me a new one if I don't. The story at South Boston the past year and a half has been Peyton Sellers and Trevor Ward. And what I think we saw on Saturday night was possibly a changing of the guard. There's now a tie at the top of the late model stock car standings between Landon Pembleton and Trevor Ward. Landon Pembleton now has double the wins on the season of both of those drivers. In fact, has the same number of wins as Sellers and Ward combined. And it wasn't just, he went out and won the race. He led every single lap of the first one, drew a 10 in the redraw, and in 14 laps was in the lead and checked out. I said with 4 to go in the second feature, the RNS rocket ship is on rails. And if that's the Landon Pembleton that we're going to continue to see, and it's one that I think we've seen since he won the Valley Star 300 at Martinsville last year, that's a Landon Pembleton that could win a national title. Not the Landon Pembleton from 2 years ago that we were wondering, man, was that first Valley Star a fluke? This is a real, legitimate national championship contending race car driver and race team right now. And with the stout field that South Boston has every weekend, Saturday night could be the moment that we look back on come November. That's the night. That's when the tide turned and shifted towards Pembleton.
Yeah, I mean, South Boston's weekly shows. I mean, they're car store races. As far as the car count might not be as high as the car store, but the competition level is just as good. And Landon Pembleton in particular, I mean, he's up against the best of the best in late model stock car racing in the region. And I think after he won the second Martinsville race, it was like, well, that's just what he does. He's a Martinsville. No disrespect to Pembleton, but I think some people deemed him a Martinsville merchant, and now he's proven them wrong. He'd never won 2 races in a row, and he went out. Now he's won 3 races in a row at South Boston. So, I said a couple weeks ago, South Boston Speedway is appointment viewing if you're a short track racing fan, and that rings ever true. And I think, we very well may be seeing a changing of the guard over there at South Boston for Pembleton. I mean, he's pretty stout. I don't know. It looked like Trevor Ward had everyone's number, but I think the like you said, RNS rocket ship.
Yeah, and when you look at those 3 drivers, they came in Saturday night, 1st, 3rd, and 5th in the national standings, all within, I believe Peyton was somewhere around 18 points back, and Landon was less than that. He was 3rd. And Peyton had a mechanical failure. He's going to have to try and recover from that. But Trevor and Landon are just going to be that closer together now, not just in the Sobo standings. Obviously, they're tied there. But Landon's just going to inch and eat away at that national points lead that Trevor has. And the national standings are dependent on car count at any given racetrack. And South Boston has as good a chance as any to pull a max field for max points for those 2 or 3 drivers to go out and chase a national championship as we get into the summer and into the fall. So it's going to be really fun to watch how those 3 battle throughout the season rather. And Connor Waddell as well. I mean, he's riding a string of 6 straight podium finishes now. Kid's really freaking good in the race car. There are plenty of storylines over there at Sobo right now.
Connor Waddell is almost like the Mark Martin of South Boston Speedway. He's one of the I feel like he's one of the best out there right now, competing against the best out there right now. And I want to give a shout out to Chase Bergeson. He made his first car store late model stock start this past weekend. Obviously, normally runs South Boston weekly. He had a pretty clean showing there, finished 11th. Did what you're supposed to do as a rookie. You had a day where no one really talked about you, and he mentioned that. He mentioned that the competition level and the depth of the field may be more at the car store level, but as far as the racecraft, he feels like he can get, kind of that aspect from South Boston, obviously with the veteran field they have there. So it's a good mix, and it's all the more reason to watch both of them, not just because we cover both of them and you might see us down there as well. So yeah. Moving on to Langley, we're talking a lot about South Boston regulars. Langley regulars, for some reason, they are always super good in the car store races here, more than other racetracks. We see Wake County Speedway, for instance, that comes to mind. We'll see Carson Hayslip maybe win the pole at a Wake County car store race. But as things get shaken out, he's not exactly most of the time a factor for the win, at least right now. Langley, completely different story. The last 3 Langley winners have been Connor Hall, Chase Burrow, and spoiler alert, Connor Hall again. Why is that?
I think it's just an extremely technical racetrack, unlike anything else that we go to. Like, you can pick out a guy at every track when the tour goes there. Like when the tour goes to Florence, Matt Cox is going to contend. When the tour went to Nashville, Dylan Feccio was really good. When the tour goes to Tri-County, that's Landon Huffman's track, right? But there's like 5 or 6 of them. They're always super competitive when you go to Langley, and it's just because that track is so unique. It's flat, it's technical, it's oddly shaped. Both ends of the racetrack are not symmetrical, and it's just tough for guys to figure out when they're used to tracks that have more banking to lean into. And it's a flat track, and those guys that run there week in and week out have got that place figured out, and they know the technical tricks to the trade that those other guys that only get 2 days of practice, which they're blessed to even get that.
And 5 of them at that for some reason.
Yeah, you just can't figure it all out in that many days. It's just not possible when you've got a guy like Connor or a guy like Chase or Matt Waltz or Mark Wirtz or anybody like that just spends their entire season like refining that craft there. And I think that's what makes them so good there. It's just so unique.
I think you hit the nail on the head. And if you don't trust Chuck's word, let's hear from Matt Waltz, Connor Hall, and Chase Burrow about why they think they are so good at Langley up against the car store.
It's a technical racetrack, There's a lot about this place that you really got to spend some time knowing and, what it just takes to make some speed out here. So I think that, and it's a lot different than a lot of other racetracks. It's a flat, worn out, rough, a lot of topography here on the racetrack, and it just makes it challenging for sure. So the guys that have been out here kind of know what they're looking for and know what they're going to see with the racetrack, and it just seems to make a little bit of a difference.
It's just kind of one of those deals where, like, knowledge is hard to come by here, like, when you show up for one weekend, and I think a lot of these guys are obviously really, really good here. I mean, I think it's just kind of a coincidence that locals have won it, but I mean, every year there's a lot of out-of-towners that are obviously really fast. It's just, I think a lot of it comes to, like, we understand kind of where you need to be and how hard you need to push it. Maybe just 5% better than some of the other guys. I mean, I don't really think it's ever been like landslides here. I just think we have that home track knowledge per se.
Probably just because this place is so technical. It's really tough to get around here. It's really demanding racetrack. So you got to be on your P's and Q's to get around here. So I'd say just probably because it's so technical.
If you needed any more proof that Langley drivers against Cars Tour fields are pretty damn good, as we said, Connor Hall took home the victory in his first Cars Tour start of 2026, making it 5 wins in a row, the last 4 weekly shows, and now the Cars Tour race. Our old buddy Connor Hall is pretty damn good, Chuck.
Yeah, he's pretty good at Langley. Won a national championship there, 2 of them, technically. Track champion there, Hampton Heat winner there, Cars Tour winner there. I mean, the dude kind of owns the place, and I think it's very fitting that he did the bow afterwards, because I don't know if you remember this, but we were talking about the relationship between him and Brendan there about a year and a half ago, and how I believe it was Connor that said he's like the Kyle Busch to Brendan's Dale Jr. So that's pretty fitting and good for Connor. I know he's had a bit of a rough patch, so it's cool to see the emotion that we don't normally see out of him. And it just shows what kind of race car driver he is, to be able to just step back into that environment and just go out there and, albeit at his home track, dominate like he did.
Yeah, and I talked to him after the race, and he said it. He said he feels like he's in his prime right now, and he feels like he can be more himself than he's felt like he could be in the past, and that's showing. In the interview we got with him after the race that I'll play here, and to see it in full, it is on our YouTube channel here. But he was unapologetically Connor Hall this past weekend. And, I think the fan reception is there, because it used to be a chorus of boos. His line for an autograph was longer than just about anybody else's. And it was pretty, heavily partisan crowd when he took the checkered flag that night. There were a couple colorful words coming from looked like a 9-year-old in the grandstands when he won the race, but aside from that kid, it was it was a pretty popular win. And I mean, it's Connor, he's gotten to run some truck races, some ARCA races. He tore up a modified, but other than that, I mean, it's something that when he left the Cars Tour, it was, how much are we still going to see Connor Hall? Which we all knew he would. We all knew he'd bring the old blue car back out here. But it was, when would he have time? And since he's gotten back in there, like I said, last 4 weekly shows, he's undefeated in a late model since coming back. So I think the obvious natural progression of things is he's going to run the Hampton Heat. I think that was largely his purpose of running, and it was cool to see him under the Nelson Motorsports banner as well. We'll talk more about that here later. But Chuck, anything else on Connor Hall?
Just to watch his progression throughout the summer, because if he decides to start running more weekly shows over there at Langley, I know we were talking about the national title with South Boston, but Langley's a track, as we just mentioned, that can produce national title contenders as well. And if Connor keeps winning the way he is, he's going to be right up there with the Sobo guys.
100%. So let's hear from Connor Hall after his big win at home. You showed us more emotion than I think I've ever seen out of you. Why?
Just had a rough little go earlier this year between, crashing that ARCA car at Rockingham and having a shot at, I thought I had a shot at the win at Hickory in the ARCA car and broke, and getting the modified and have that accident in practice, and then can't race for a month trying to heal up and stuff, and, just don't get to race as much with this. Trying to focus on the whole Nice program and truck racing and stuff, and just you know.
This is your car, though.
Yeah, it's just like this is our
Your
baby,
dad's
man.
here.
Like,
Everybody's
yeah,
here. Like
there's a lot of factors. I got my girlfriend. I'm in my home crowd. Like, this is the place I grew up. I got my dad. Like, I got all my boys that help. Like, there's just so much, like, there's so much invested emotionally into this. It's such a, I know it sounds like so cliche, but like winning is such a weight lifted to like make it right for them. Because like, dude, I mean, between getting the niece car ready and then getting this ready, I mean, we drove the niece car up here Wednesday night, got to my house at 6 o'clock, and a couple of us, we didn't leave the shop till like 3 a.m. on Thursday. We're here at 8 a.m. to try to test on Thursday. You know, we shake down Thursday, you know, Friday, Saturday, you know, then you get all done with it, and then you got to tear the darn thing apart. So, I mean, it's just a nonstop effort, and it's just, I feel like people don't know this, I feel like people don't think I'm like this, but like, I put so much into it that like getting it out finally is just like, thank God. So that's why, and like, man, I don't know why, just after defending like 20 restarts, I just knew I was like, I literally came to the radio coming to the checkered flag, and I was like, Dad, I'm going to Buzzy on Monday. And that's kind of like my key word for like, I'm probably gonna have to go through the rear end after this burnout. And he was like, I don't care. And I was like, all right. I've only been able to do 2 burnouts in my entire history of late model racing, and both of them have been the car store here. So he was pretty jacked up, I guess. But Buzzy, if you're watching this, I'm gonna drop it off Monday. Need to turn it around before Friday. Thanks.
So Saturday night, while Connor Hall was celebrating his return to Cars Tour Victory Lane, the guy that ran in the bridesmaid position is the man that went punch counter punch with him all season long 1 year ago, and that, of course, was Landon Lewis. And for those of you that watched the race, and maybe those of you that need to go back and watch it again, Buddy, I think can confirm this. Did you know that Connor and Landon aren't exactly big fans of each other on the racetrack? Because they sure do race like that.
No, cue the B-roll of them not any more than a couple inches off each other's bumper the entire race. These two obviously had a spirited battle for the Car Store Championship last year, it definitely there's no love lost between those two. They are both hard racers, and especially when they're the 12, 77, 88, whatever combination you want to put on the door of Connor Hall's car, and the 29 are together. It's going to be appointment viewing for sure. Those two traded blows all throughout the night, and I mean, they might not like each other, but it was fun to watch. Yeah,
it's really entertaining.
Really, really entertaining. But and think about it too. They're teammates now at Nice Motorsports.
Yeah, that's the best part of it.
Yeah,
and you know, that doesn't mean that they don't have camaraderie and respect for each other off the racetrack. But when those two put the helmet on, they are like magnets that are attached at the hip, and they just cannot get away from each other. And honestly, it looks like they don't want to get away from each other. It looks like they want to be as close to the other one as they can possibly get, and then some. And it makes for great racing, especially at a track like Langley, where you can use the chrome horn, move a guy up out of the groove, and it's not going to, ruin his run off the corner. You can race side by side like that. And it's two really hard-nosed, fierce competitors in a late model stock car, and Connor just got the better of Landon on Saturday night.
Yeah, and there was nothing egregious there to look at like we sometimes see in these races. So it was really good to see, really fun, and I wish Connor would come out and race a couple more Car Store races so we could get that couple more times throughout the year. But yeah, let's hear from Connor Hall again and Landon Lewis after their spirited battle. You had a pretty spirited battle with your old rival and now teammate, Landon Lewis. Tell me about that. How much fun was that behind the wheel?
It's cool. I tell everybody at Nice all the time, I don't think there's two people, maybe me and Carson back when it was that thing, but I don't think there's two people that you could line up on the front row of a late model race each week and they're gonna like push each other to be better like that much. And like we conduct business differently at times, but when we line up with 4 to go, I think business is booming for sure. So I just knew at that point, I had defended so much that I just felt like I was going to do whatever it took just to win regardless. So super fun, great battle. I love racing the guy. They make me better. I hope I have a chance of making them better, or at least they feel the same way about it. And just a good old-fashioned short track battle for 125 laps and 35 restarts.
There was games played and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's my job as a driver to do what I need to do to overcome those. So just trying to work as hard as I could to perfect my restarts and perfect my corner to try to just give myself the best shot without doing anything I didn't need to do. So again, a good night for us, and proud to not finish outside the top 5 yet this year. So it's been good, and we'll continue to pick away at it.
Taking a look at the results from the Cars Tour at Langley Speedway, it was of course Connor Hall scoring the victory at his home track after a spirited battle with his old rival Landon Lewis. Caden Quapple, fresh off his first super late model win in the ASA Stars National Tour race at Hickory last weekend, has another top 3 finish after a rough qualifying effort. It seems to be a trend for car 88. He retains the points lead. Let's hear what Caden Quapple had to say after Langley.
Just missed it a little like normal in qualifying, and I feel like a lot of it's me. I don't know, I need to work on it, but I've never really been good at it, so I think it's just part of it. We focus a lot on our race speeds, and we definitely had a better race car than I guess than we did in qualifying, but still missed it a little in the race. Just overall too loose. For a while we were really tight in the center, but it didn't really feel like I was tight. It just felt like my front end wasn't in the track, so that was a little weird. And then as the tires wore, obviously I lost drive, got a little free end, so just part of the track.
Carson Brown with a quiet top 5 finish. He finishes in the 4th position. Trayton Lapsevich, the model of consistency, comes across the line in the 5th position. And Carson Lofton, now, as we know, his final start with Nelson Motorsports, he would finish in the 6th position. I talked to Parker Eatman before the race, and after qualifying, he wasn't too confident with his number 4 car, but he was able to salvage a top 10 finish, finishing 7th. And Donovan Strauss, a very special weekend for him. He drove the number 51 car in tribute to Kyle Busch in the NOS Energy paint scheme that he won so many times with in the NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. We spoke to Donovan several times throughout the weekend and after the race about what it meant to drive that paint scheme.
It means everything. Like I had so many people come up to me pre-race and they love the car, they love me for doing it, and it was just a cool night, and I gave it hell out there. I mean, I had it in my thought every lap. I'm like, I'm driving this car. I need to go. I gotta run good tonight. And
Chase Burrow won a couple of weekly shows at Langley Speedway earlier this year, and he gets another top 10 finish for Hedinger Racing, rebounding from a spin to finish in the 9th position. Jake Bowman rounds out our top 10. Finishing 11th in his very first Cars Tour late model stock start was Chase Bergeson. He runs weekly at South Boston Speedway and runs weekly on the tour in the Pro Late Model division, but in his first effort in the late model stocks, he had a quiet and solid 11th place finish. Let's hear what he had to say.
There's a lot of beating and banging compared to Sobo. I feel like it's a super clean environment. You learn a lot of racecraft out there, so it was mostly like a saving race, which Sobo was full blast as well, so I had to kind of get my head back to Southern National, my first start ever, and just go half, like the entire race. And I was like, well, it'll come to me at some point. I was in like P20 for a good bit, and I was like, it's not really coming to me. And then all of a sudden, they gave me the green light, and I started picking off one by one.
Landon Huffman hopefully wasn't too dizzy after he went for several spins throughout the evening. He finishes in the 12th position after contact with his teammate. Jace Hale finishes in the 13th position. Matt Waltz, the defending Hampton Heat champion, finishes in the 14th spot. And Connor Jones, as aforementioned, spun off the nose of his teammate. He would finish in the 15th position. Aiden King in 16th. Aiden Millette, another one of those Langley regulars, finishes 17th. Chad McCumbee in 18th. Brandon Pierce in 19th. And Doug Barnes Jr. had a top 3 finish going, but would run out of gas and finish in the 20th position. Landon S. Huffman finishes 21st, and London McKenzie was running inside the top 5, and maybe if the two old rivals, Connor Hall and Landon Lewis, would have got together, London McKenzie was in the catbird seat to do it, but spun off the door of Barnes. Let's hear from McKenzie after his strong run gone sour at Langley.
We're running third there, and getting to turn 3 where with a 5 to go restart, everyone's expecting you
when you're on the inside to run them up the track and use them up. And to be honest, I've been doing that. And that particular corner, I decided to wrap the bottom and give him the room. And so he realized I gave him the room after already entering. So I'd have to see a replay again to make sure it's 100% correct. But I'm pretty sure I wrapped the bottom and he realizes it's the room. So he waits on his throttle to get a really low exit to hold me tight and get a run. And as he's going to swoop down, I'm coming up. And with 5 to go, your right rear's blistered. So I'm already feather light on the rear end, and he's coming down, I'm coming up. Go to turn away from as quick as I could realize and make a reaction. Not saying it's his fault, because, I mean, you got to close that gap with 5 to go. I get it. And my right front made contact with this left rear and just literally took the wheel, snatched it left, and threw me.
Mason Bailey would finish in the 23rd position, Ryan Matthews in 24th, Trey Cruz 25th, Derek Kraus in his first Cars Tour race finishes 26th, Matt Gould had a strong qualifying run for Nice Motorsports but would finish 27th, a rough night for Riley Music, but mechanical failure would take him out of the race for him at his home track. Ronnie Bassett Jr. finishes 29th and Chris Horton Jr. finishes in 30th, shotgun on the field. Every week all across the nation, late models own Saturday night. So let's take a look at what happened this past weekend across the nation. Thursday evening, it was the Battle of Broadway. It's becoming a tradition at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. And what else is a tradition at Nashville Fairgrounds? Dawson Sutton in Victory Lane. Wenatchee Valley hosted the Cars Tour West Super Late Model Division, where Dylan Zampa took victory against a couple of Harvicks. South Boston Speedway, as we mentioned, twin 75-lap features in the Master of Defense didn't really have to defend much. Landon Pimbleton took victory in both races there. And a long-awaited winless streak comes to an end, a whole 1 week removed from Michael Bumgarner getting defeated for the first time. He's back in Victory Lane again at Hickory for a 75-lap feature there. The American Canadian Tour and the Pro All-Star Series were both scheduled to run at Riverside Speedway, but both races were postponed because of Mother Nature. Chuck, what do we have coming up across the nation?
What we have is another full slate of late model action all across the nation. It kicks off Friday night with a set of twin features at Ace Speedway, as well as a set of twin features at Wake County Speedway. Saturday, Seekonk Speedway hosts the American Canadian Tour for the Spring Green 126. The ASA Midwest Tour is at Norway Speedway for the Norway 100, and the CRA Pros are at Flat Rock Speedway out in the Midwest. Late model stock cars in action at both Langley Speedway for a set of twin 50s and Tri-County Speedway for a 60-lap late model stock car showdown. Speaking of showdowns, the I-95 showdown event at Southern National Motorsports Park has been postponed to a later date, and that's what's coming up across the nation. Last but certainly not least, it's my favorite segment of the show, Hot Topic Across the Nation, and one that was brought to our attention by our good buddy Landon Huffman. We're going to talk about the Floatium this week and who should or should not be eligible, because as you all saw, Connor Hall was in a Nelson Motorsports car, the number 12, but it was a bit blue for a Nelson Motorsports car. Was it actually a Nelson car, or was it the Smurf? The world may never know. But either way, should that be allowed to qualify for the Floatium, or should the Floatium be left to Cars Tour regulars? Buddy, your thoughts?
I think, and I think too, there's another element to the strategy. It's who will be in the 12 car at North Wilkesboro when the Floatium is decided, and it's the recently signed Cup star Corey Heim will be behind the wheel of the Nelson Motorsports number 12. Yeah, so honestly, this is I wouldn't even call it a loophole, because it's just it's the car that gets qualified for the Floatium bonus. But the way it was done, where it was, we all know it was Connor Hall's car, and Nelson kind of, from what I understand without telling someone else's business, Nelson helped along, right? So I think for next year, this should be a tweak where it probably should be a full-time car that is eligible for the Floatium bonus. I think this is more of a case to bring back the old Touring 12 that I keep mentioning. I think that should also be a thing. I think this was kind of the Floatium in itself was a kind of a way to incentivize drivers to run the full tour. And then I guess it is kind of a loophole in this sense where the 12 car doesn't run every week. It runs a lot of races, but we he kind of he's they're set up for success. Let me tell you, heading into Wilkesboro. So I think it's fine for this year, but I think maybe it could be a tweak to make for next year.
Look, I'm going to disagree with you. Don't hate the player, hate the game, because Rackley did this exact thing on the pro late model side because they put Keelan in the 62 at Southern, and then, oh, what do you know? Dawson Sutton was in the 62 car at Nashville, and Dylan Feccio finished top 3 at Nashville, and oh, he showed up to the next 2 late model stock car races for the Cars Tour because he was Floatium eligible. I think it's a good thing that maybe it incentivizes other guys or maybe even locals to come out and run a race with the tour, because if they put in a good showing at their home track, now they've got an extra incentive to show back up again and fill out the field, have more cars in the field. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think it's hilarious that that's how this went about, because it was so obviously his car. They didn't even try to hide it. I think it's fine the way it is. I think it adds an extra storyline and maybe some wild card competitors that you wouldn't normally see.
Yeah, I kind of see that too. I'm a stickler for we should incentivize the full-time competitors even more. So here we go. Keep the Floatium how it is, but also incentivize the full-time competitors even more. There we go. Everybody's happy. I rest my case, and I spent somebody else's money, so that's always fun. But yeah, we'll see what happens moving forward. The 12 car will be at Dominion. What driver, we're not exactly sure yet, but it was confirmed that the 12 car will be running. So with that, Chuck, you got anything else before we take this bird home?
Ready to fly.
All right, cool. I think it's technically land this bird. Anyway,
We're leaving.
Either way, you can follow us at the Buddy Pulley at @CFolsom_racing. You can follow ATYL Media and of course ATYL Media. Us at On Tour ATYL for all the news from late model racing and short track racing in general. And then of course subscribe to the YouTube channel here. Tell your friends. If you know a friend, tell a friend. If you're in the industry, tell 5 people. Help us out here. But yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. And as always, support your local short tracks, and we'll see you next week.